Once we have an idea of the basic data types, the next thing to talk about is mutability and how you might declare a container to hold a value. So in the previous example, we saw an example of a string being stored in a constant. Here we have let bootcamp of type string equal lambda school. That's totally valid and fine. But what if we wanted to, after we declared this variable, what if we wanted to change its value? So perhaps we, at the next line down, beyond that, we type in bootcamp equals, and we say maybe Fun Times University, right? We're changing the name of the school to a new name. The problem with this is that we're not allowed to change a constant. So it in fact tells you in the error that comes up, it says cannot assign to value bootcamp as a let constant. And the suggestion is to change the let in that first word of that first line to the word var to make it mutable. We could do that by choosing the fix. And then now what we've done is we've said that bootcamp is a var or a variable rather than a constant, meaning that it can change after it has been declared. So if you have data that you are storing in a container of some kind, and you are sure that once you set it, it never will change after that during the runtime of your application, I would recommend using a let. So the default is always going to be to lean towards let constants. And then in cases where you do need to make changes to that data after it's been declared and initialized, so a declaration is something like this, where you declare a variable to exist and you might give it a data type. And then the initialization is after the equal sign. So you're assigning a value to that thing. In this case, bootcamp is going to have the value lambda school. So when you have those cases where you do want to make changes to the data value itself after you have declared and initialized that container, you want to make that a var, a variable. And when you have cases where you don't want that to be the case, where you want it to be set and then never changed, you want to use a let constant. And the way that you can tell whether or not you're doing the right thing is if you have a let constant and you try and change the value afterwards, Swift will not let you. So that's a nice part about using the compiler to kind of monitor the code as you write it, is that if you set up the rules correctly, it helps prevent you from doing things that you don't mean to do. In this case, try and change the name of the school from lambda school to something else. Let's look at an example where you do want to make changes. So let's imagine that we have a variable called total price. It's of type double and its initial value is 0. We're then going to create a couple of products. So we're going to say socks is equal to 350, and we're going to create one called shoelaces that is equal to 99 cents. So if we look at the data types and the values here, they're all going to be doubles. The first one, total price, the total price is currently 0 because we haven't done any calculations to determine the total price. We do have two items in our inventory, let's say, two products. We have socks and we have shoelaces. Socks is $3.50 and shoelaces is 99 cents. So let's say we want to add those things together to create a total price for our customer. Perhaps this is an app that is, part of a register or something that's going to add up all the different products the person is buying and then give them a total price. So total price here is going to be reset to be whatever it was before, right? Total price plus we're going to add in our socks and we're going to add in our shoelaces. And by doing that, we take the initial value of total price, which is 0, we add socks and then we add shoelaces. And when we run this line of code, we can see over here on the right that the total value is 4.49, right, or $4.49. So it's taken those three things, really, the 0 and the other two prices, added them together, and then assign that value back into total price. So we're changing the value of total price after it's been declared and initialized. In that case, we want total price to be a var. In the case of the prices of the individual items, in theory, they're never going to change, so we're going to make them lets and not allow them to be changed by the programmer after they've been set.